We begin this hour with the indictment of former President Donald Trump. A New York grand jury voted to indict the former president yesterday. Now, he is expected to turn himself in to be arraigned on Tuesday. We do not have the exact charges, but we do know this, that they're related to the alleged falsification of business records in connection with hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Trump has called this indictment, as you know, a political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. CBS News legal analyst, that's Rikki Klieman, joins us along with our chief political analyst, that's John Dickerson. Welcome to you both. Rikki, welcome back to you. John, let's start with you. You know, the Democrats say no one is above the law. Let's let the process play out. Republicans say that this is just a witch hunt, legal voodoo. What do you say? What was your reaction when you heard? Are they both right?
We don't know, because we don't know what's in the indictment. That's my first reaction was, let's wait till we actually find out what's in the indictment. Of course, that's a naive thing to say in American politics right now, and that's my second thought, which is that this is an explosive event in a highly volatile time in American politics. When you have elections, you make laws or you enforce laws. There's a system that's in place to keep it from getting violent. But when you're in a volatile moment, it can get violent. Yeah. And so everybody has a responsibility who's in the political process to either add fuel or they've got a question, not a responsibility. Are you adding fuel or are you taking fuel away? And what you're saying in this moment when we don't know whether the indictment is a strong indictment or a weak one.
But I've heard so many, even Democrats, say privately that, is this the case we should go after? Okay, he had a relationship with Stormy Daniels. He may have used money illegally. So what, so what? Who cares? Who cares? What do you say to that, that they said that there are so many things that are so much more important than this case?
It's up to the prosecutor, and we'll see what the prosecutor did. I mean, and we'll know. The problem in American politics is all this conversation that takes place in the absence of facts.
Exactly.
And
right.
The president and his party are doing something smart, which is in the absence of facts, they are rushing in to define what this case is about. We don't know. Donald Trump doesn't know. It's under seal. And the question is, after January 6th, where we saw what Donald Trump did when there was an official proceeding that he didn't like,
yes.
When you're in his party, are you adding to this volatility or are you removing it? Kevin McCarthy, after the election, he said that Donald Trump won. That was a lie.
Yes.
Then on January 6th, Kevin McCarthy, now Speaker, was terribly frightened by what happened. He saw what happened when you spoke in apocalyptic terms, how that could play out. So why now is the Speaker saying that this is an effort by the Manhattan DA to subvert an election? That's speaking in apocalyptic terms about a thing you know nothing about. You know nothing about it because the indictment is sealed. Why, after the history of January 6th, would you as a public figure add more fuel to the fire? Isn't your obligation, when the system is as fragile as it is right now, to hold back the fuel?
Rikki, speaking of adding fuel to the fire, former President Trump continues this rhetoric and incites violence at the courthouse. Could he be held liable for that?
There's always the question when we go back to January 6th, whether or not the Justice Department may decide to hold him liable for that. And that same logic could apply to a future act of violence by a group. By the way, at this point in time, there is no intelligence, at least according to the people I speak to, that shows that there will be any kind of violent activity at the courthouse between now and Tuesday.
That's good to hear.
But it's not only Manhattan that we're dealing with.
Right.
We're dealing with the entire country. We're also dealing with the safety of a particular prosecutor, courthouse personnel, Donald Trump himself, his safety, as well as the safety of the secret grand jurors who may or may not remain secret.
Right.
So you have a lot of security issues. Best place to try it is New York. The NYPD knows how to handle these things.
Rikki, so you heard Joe Tacopina talking to Gayle earlier. This notion that the federal government, Merrick Garland has had the same access to the information that Alvin Bragg has. Cy Vance, before Alvin Bragg, had access to this information. The feds have chosen not to indict. Why? People want to know, why did the feds choose not to indict? And thus, why is Alvin Bragg deciding?
What does Alvin Bragg know that others don't?
That they did not.
Well, we don't know what Alvin Bragg knows, and if he knows more than others did or not. By the way, it has been well publicized that this case, the hush money Stormy Daniels business records falsification case in the DA's office by many people was called the zombie case. It was the case that Cy Vance did not want to prosecute for a lot of reasons, including the fact that it's novel, unique, don't know if it will hold up in a court of law. But also you have Merrick Garland, who perhaps had bigger fish to fry. He's dealing with the January 6th insurrection. That's a case that if they do decide to go forward through Jack Smith as special counsel, that really is directly against the United States of America. And you also have Mar-a-Lago and the question and obstruction of justice. So in the order of things, it seems that Merrick Garland would have been more interested in those two cases than in this case.
But, John, let's look at the history. I always like talking to you about history because you are a friggin' encyclopedia. We keep saying that this is uncharted territory, never happened before. Can he be indicted and still be elected president? What does this look like? What does this mean for the country as we
yeah,
sit
he
here
can
today?
be. I mean, we've had candidates who've been under indictment who've run for president. They haven't won. But I believe in 2016, I believe Rick Perry, there was an indictment against him for a couple of months. It was waved away quickly or went away quickly. But yeah, he can go forward. And in fact, there's.
What do you think, John? I mean,
Well, I think
sat there,
I go back to what I started by saying, which is we are in this volatile moment, and leaders have a responsibility to the moment and to the system. If you participate in a system of making laws or participating in elections, you are a steward of that system. You can't befoul it and then say, oh, wait, but have it apply to me in a clean and pristine way when I'm participating in it. Right. You are a steward of it. So what is a steward's obligation in this case where we don't really know the facts yet? If the facts come out and it's a weak case, then everybody should say this is a weak case and you are hurting this same system that I've just been banging on about. If it's a strong case, then people should say, you know, this is a strong case within a system where we deal with people and no one is above the law. We just don't know which of those two things it is. So in the absence of that, if you're a steward of the system, treat the system with respect by withholding judgment until we know what the facts are.
If I could just piggyback on that for a second. That also applies to Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is a steward of the system. He believes he has the facts and the law, and he went forward accordingly.
This has been a substantive discussion. Thank you both very much, Rikki Klieman, John Dickerson. We appreciate you.